Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we will be working on detaching the camera movement from the player. Basically the camera is going to be independent from the player, it's just going to follow it. So currently we have something like this, so let me start up the server and then I can also, once the server is running, I can run the client. Let's just wait a little bit. Okay, so now I can compile and run the client. Okay, so currently the player is falling down, but right, so once we are on the ground, as you can see, and this is probably more explicit from the auto jump, the camera is literally just attached. So the target of the camera is the same position of the player, right? That's why we have this thingy, right? So what we want to do is to prevent that so we don't snap while auto jumping, right? So let me just one thing. This is kind of triggering me because this function is useless. I can literally just do this and say gravity and everything is fine. Okay, so basically here we applied the camera target to the player box Y and X. And so now we basically just need a camera position. I think that's everything. You can just say vector2 camera position, right? And the only thing we need to do is basically we need to get the direction vector, and then move the camera based on that direction and speed, right? So that, do I need to, no, the direction vector is going to change always, I guess. Okay, so here, first, we need to have something like this, vector2 camera direction, right? And this vector is just going to be basic. So to measure the direction, to calculate the direction vector based on 2 points, you just need to subtract the x's and the y's, right? So you can just say that is equal to app.camera position dot, well, actually I don't even need to store the camera position because I can use the target, right? I can use the target as the camera position, so this is not even needed. I can just use that camera dot target dot x minus the player box x, and this is going to give me the direction. Not only the direction, but also the velocity, because the magnitude of this vector is going to like speed up or slow down the camera, right? So I can call it like velocity, because I think that velocity also indicates direction, right? So I can say that, yeah, it seems good. And I can do the same thing for y. So I can just say that and that, like so. And now I only need to apply the camera target x based on the velocity. So I can say that times get frame time, and here I say this times frame time, right? So that's everything. I could like even move inline this stuff, but I hope the compiler optimize that away, because it's like coding like this is more explicit, right? It's clear the intention I want, what I want to do basically. So let's recompile and reconnect to the server and see how it behaves right now. That is very strange. We now are not doing anything, right? Because probably I swapped these two, maybe. So if I do that, what is it going to do? I feel like I will need to add printfs. This is the kind of code I'll probably need. Yeah. So the camera is not following the player, right? So I basically just need... Do I initialize the camera target correctly? Well, it doesn't really matter because it should just move it, right? Okay, so the Y is starting there. I can start the Y at the same Y level of the player. So let me see. Okay, that didn't help. So I probably have some like signer. I'm going to add printfs just to simplify debugging. So what do I want? I want to basically have something like this. Dot to f, comma, dot to f. So this is going to be the camera target, and then I need the same thing for the velocity and the same thing for the player box, right? And here I can just say this. And I can put the player box like that, and then I want the velocity, something like this. So here is the position basically. Then this is the player position, and this is the cam velocity. Okay, let's see what kind of positions and velocities we are calculating. Okay, so I can close down. So the camera position, okay. So basically the camera is not moving fast enough, I would suppose, right? I think that's the problem. Right. Right, of course, it makes sense because, yeah, I'm multiplying by frame time. But here, so basically I have 2 points that, then if I add, yeah, it's calculating it properly, I think, because then if I add that, the velocity. So let me not, so the camera may be independent from frame time. I don't really like that. Maybe I can normalize this vector and then multiply it by a speed. But then the magnitude is not going to be dependent by the distance. Well, it maybe is good. Or I can just multiply it by a base speed or something. Okay, we are now doing something, but in terms of, so I have 61 and here 124. So it looks like, oh, here I need to add it, right? Because the target needs to add the velocity. That's another issue. Okay, let's try again. Okay, now it's following the player more accordingly. Okay, so now is it going to, yeah, it still snaps. So probably the frame time was actually good, right? So there was this issue by adding, I was just assigning it, and that's not what I wanted. So let's bring back the frame time and see how it behaves. So we no longer need this debug code. Now it's just like tuning it, like, right? So let's see. Right, now it kind of follows a player. Okay, yeah, it pans very slowly. Yeah, I like it. You see? Oh, it's so much better. So much better. I love it. I really love it. Right, so now the player is kind of independent from the camera, but the camera is always following the player. This looks very nice. Right, so I can actually play it. So if I fall here, the camera is like going to speed up, you see? And then it slows down until it reaches the position of the player. I love it. So let me actually run it again. So once we are falling from the sky, I can maybe use some function like exponential function on top of this, because you see, or maybe I should just cap the velocity of the player, the y velocity, because gravity needs to be kept, right, because of air friction. So I should also probably just take that into account, the air friction, because I think the player is just reaching a ridiculous speed at this moment, you see, and then it becomes kind of hard for the camera to follow it. But like in actual gameplay, this looks very nice. I really like it. Oh, I cannot make that jump. But I have to make that jump. Sorry guys. Let's see. And the maximum falling speed is dependent on the planets, right? Because it depends on the gravity, it depends on the atmosphere drag and stuff like that. Okay, I made that jump. So what I want to test is, well, there is not a, well, I can probably just fall from here and see the behavior of the camera. This is, you see, like, why is it the player that is moving or the camera? That is very strange. It's like shifting around. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, let me disable this and see why it is shifting around. So, yeah, I can probably just remove this code. Unused variable. Oh, yeah, I should bring back the other thing that I had previously, right? And that was basically this. I basically add that. And here I actually need to assign it. And actually just do that. Okay. So if we have a locked camera, does the player still behave in weird ways? Okay. No. No, it kind of, yeah, it's pretty good. So there's something, maybe when the velocity is really small, yeah, maybe when the velocity is really small, we can just lock the camera, because I suspect this is once again caused by floating point imprecision, right? We already had that problem here when we did, where is it? This revert thingy that we had to create, like store the value and not do operations on it. So to test my theory, let's first do something like this. Like, it's already working, right? But I want it to work properly. I want to have like a very precise unlocked camera. So I can just print something simple. I actually want the entire floating point. And to see that behavior, I actually want that. To know what are we even doing. Right. Well, I could actually just do this and print the entire thing. Right. So let's see if my theory that when the floating point gets really small, the player starts to flicker around. Let's see if that's correct. For example, here we are printing, right? That makes sense. So, is it flickering? Yeah, it's flickering a bit, you see? So here, yeah, because it's like flickering back and forth. Oh, I know why, because it's like, since the velocity is like back and forth until it stabilizes. Okay. So what I'm going to do to test that I can keep this code for now. So what I'm going to do is basically calculate the camera velocity, and then I can check if, let me think, something that seems reasonable. So this is not really the distance, but I don't want to calculate the distance because the distance requires the square root, right? It requires the square root, and that's a slow operation to do every single frame. So maybe this is going to work, right? So doing just that. So if the both components of the camera, the velocity of the camera, are like greater or equal to something, some value, I don't know, 0.05, I guess, we can fine tune it afterwards. We do these kind of updates. Otherwise, we need to lock the camera. So we are going for an hybrid system, right? We're going for an hybrid system that in theory should work relatively well. Right, so here I can probably print have also this, just for me to know when we are eating a branch or not, right? Okay, so here we have like unlocked camera, we hit the ground, and now, okay, we are moving back and forth is still probably, yeah, so now it's locked, right? But you see, like there is still a little bit of flickering. So let me try to take a look at this. So what kind of values we get? Okay, so 0. Right. So it's like when we move right, and the thing is like, so basically the unlocked camera exists because of AutoJump. So let me see what kind of offsets we get on AutoJump. Yeah, it's always like greater than, right, so here, when we are falling, it also makes sense, but when it flickers, it's like 0.3 and stuff, right? Well, we got, let's try in that case, instead of 0.05, 0.2. Let's see if this feels better to the player. Let's see. Okay, so auto jump still works with the unlocked thingy. I think that is still too little. 0.2. Let's see. So here we have that. So if I do just that, does it flicker? No, it longer flickers. Yeah, I think, yeah. So, okay, but for the left side, for some reason. Oh, I know why. Because here we need to measure the absolute value, right? Right, I forgot about that. So here we need absolute value. Let me also like print the absolute value. It's just to simplify stuff. Oh, I know I don't have a window yet. Okay, let me move this here, this here. Okay, so moving in a positive direction. Okay. No, I don't like it. Because, well, but it works for the left side. But for the right side, yeah, it's still too bumpy. It's still too bumpy because probably I need to reduce that number. So I basically just need to find a number that works. So here we are not really, yeah, if I do that kind of stuff, look, the player doesn't flicker, okay? So it works. So basically I just need to reduce this number until the player starts to flicker. Basically that's what I need to find. And this hybrid approach is then going to work perfectly fine. Either that or I reduce the magnitude of the velocity vector. That should also work. So this should now always work, right? Why did it like... So it slowly moves, right? It like slowly moves it. Maybe I should increase the speed of the camera. Maybe that's the problem, right? I can also do something like this. So where are my configs? Right here. I can say something like, this is more like related to the player. I can say camera speed factor or something. I can put 10. And so basically I not only do that, but I also multiply it by this factor. And by speeding up the camera, it probably like smooths it out, maybe. Let's see. And this is always like trial and error stuff, you see, so. Okay, but now, well, it kind of works more or less. If I like, am I, okay. I need to have like a buffer for this auto jump, right? I don't like to always like instantly auto jump, but yeah, it kind of follows it. I don't know. I need to smooth it out, I guess. But that's a whole another story, right? I don't know if increasing the speed of the camera actually helps. Oh, but it helps with this. Right? You see that the values stabilize a lot faster. But I would like them to stabilize even faster. So what's like the speed of auto jump, by the way? It's like 3, 1. Okay. So one final try before I could put this similar to jump speed. Yeah, probably. One final try. I can move that and put something like 1. Right. So if it is less than the unit, just lock the camera. Or maybe I need to slow down the camera. Maybe that's also an option. No, this too bumpy, right? So I think I need to have the camera always unlocked. I just need to make it converge faster. Or maybe, instead of like doing this stuff, I could actually do something else. There is another thing I can do. All right, so if the camera position X is minus the player X, so we basically check this independently, right? Like is greater or equal than 1, we do the smooth thing. Otherwise we snap it, right? And so we just need to move this out. So I can just copy paste that. Maybe this printf is also slowing down stuff. I can remove it. So here we just update y, and this is the same thing, y. Maybe having these components independently is like going to improve the experience of the player. I don't know, we are just trying techniques, right? And I'm not going to have any factor here. So let me try to not have any of that. Okay, so maybe this is going to improve the experience. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I don't like the fact that, yeah, auto jump is like too snappy. Maybe because that's, let me say, well, but this should work. Yeah, I don't really like it. Well, but this stuff, okay, but this stuff is just camera velocity, right? So I can just use this. I think that by, well, but we can have like a cutoff. So if the speed is like really small, we can just cut it and not do anything. Yeah, this doesn't work, right? This doesn't work. I don't like it. So let me try another technique. So here we have that, and here we have this. And this is going to be commented out for now. And here, I can do something like, if that, this is like not velocity, this is like more displacement, right? Or, I don't know. This can call it distance, for example. So if the camera distance, if the camera is less or like more than 1 unit away, then do the updates. Otherwise, don't do anything. Don't even lock it to the player. Right? So let's try that. So the camera can like follow the player, but not always be 100% on top of it, right? Maybe this is going to look good. I don't know. Okay, so how is auto jump going to fun? Okay, auto jump like looks good, right? It looks very good. The y coordinate is not really working, is it? Oh, it's working. This is like super. Why am I? Oh, because I forgot this. I always forgot the absolute value because distance. Well, this so a distance is not really right because a distance is not really negative. We cannot have. Well, can we have negative distances? Not really. I'm going to call it direction once again. Velocity. Right. Well, we can keep it like velocity. I'm very picky with names because I know I'm going to forget this algorithm if I don't pick a good name. And I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to think about stuff, right? And by picking the good names that represent well the algorithm, I can then come back and know what's happening. Okay. But let's see, I'm going to press right and let's see how this behaves in auto jump. I like it, right? It's smooth camera. If I stop, this kind of flows, but it doesn't like flicker or anything. You see? And if I do like very small changes, the camera like stays stationary, right? I like it. I like it. Right? So if I come here and I get inside and I can like flicker like a mad mad person, this doesn't always instantly react, right? It only reacts when it needs to move more than 1 unit in distance, right? So let me try to fall inside this cave. So I can fall here, well here, I can go there and then, yeah, like that. So if I do something like this, yeah, I like it. It's pretty smooth, right? It's pretty smooth. I could even like do something like this, right? I still not enough buffer, in my opinion. This can probably be configurable in the menu options of the player. I would suggest when we start working on the UI, we can think about that. But that's basically it, right? So kind of like it. Kind of like it. Okay, so I think this is going to be the approach we're going to go with in terms of unlocked camera. So we are not going to with the hybrid approach we're thinking about during this episode. We're just going to with the unlocked camera always, but we only change the camera position if the distance from the player is greater than 1.5 units, and this can probably be well, but this is like gameplay. Yeah, this I don't probably this cannot be configured, or it needs to have a maximum value, right? Because then people would probably like use this stuff to wall hack, like in air quotes, because you could basically move your player really fast, and if the distance was like 200 tiles, then your camera would be in a completely different position than your player, and you could like wall hack. So maybe if this is configurable, we need to have a maximum and a minimum value. Probably 1.0 is the minimum, and the maximum can be like 5 or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's basically it for this episode. So thank you for watching, and I see you in the next one.